Hey everyone, we are live. This is the Resellers Wakeup. This is Tuesday, 10/21, episode 7. Seventh day here. We're still going. We're going to be here all week. We start every morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday. We run it for about 2 hours. This is a working hangout. We're going to have people coming in and going out as they need to go picking or have appointments or whatever it is that they need to take care of. Sometimes we get some people on that most of you are going to recognize, but yeah, we are just doing a working hangout. We talk about issues that we've had with customers, problems that we have trying to figure out how to ship items, just what kind of stuff is selling for us, what kind of stuff isn't, and just talk about our business and give each other advice. But I think everybody that's been following the show for a while recognizes everybody on the panel. So anyway, let's get on to the show. Today we're going to be talking about customer items that encourage customer returns, encourage issues, encourage scammers even, and we're going to try and not get on topic as much as, or not as much on the topic that we did yesterday about specific instances, so much as just, we're going to focus more on how to avoid them in the first place. But anyway, how's everybody doing this morning?
Good. Okay, I do want to say good morning and happy birthday to Adam.
Happy birthday, Adam.
Happy birthday, Adam.
Happy birthday to you. And that was it. That's all you got.
I started it off. Nobody else finished it up for me. So now you're like, what, 21? You can go on the bar?
Oh, he's only 19.
So am I.
Adam. Say it out loud.
Guys aren't supposed to laugh at that.
Thank you, Morgan.
Morning, Biscuithead.
Everyone.
Biscuithead.
I literally woke up like minutes before the show started.
So did I, and I still had time to put on a little makeup and a nice scarf. Adam, it's no excuse.
Yeah, I've been up for about 3 hours, and I mean, I think Callie's the only one here that is in a worse time zone than I am.
Yeah, you guys are crazy.
Yeah, well, I just can't.
Yeah, I didn't wake up that early enough. I didn't have a chance to put the makeup on. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I usually wake up around 4 or 5 no matter what, but I also go to bed at like 8. So, anybody have any big crazy sales last night? Anything to brag about?
No, but can I brag about waking up at 4 o'clock and telling off Amazon about that feedback? Because at first they didn't want to remove it just because it contained return shipping crap. And I woke up at 4 something and I just laid into Amazon because I couldn't fall asleep without doing something.
Yeah. Just to recap, yesterday Adam got a feedback on Amazon because he made a little mistake when he was sending stuff off. You can go ahead and tell him about that.
Nah, if they watched yesterday, they know. If they didn't, I'll go back and watch yesterday's.
Yeah. He let the price tag on one of his items, and the customer wasn't very happy when they found out how much he paid for it.
We're not supposed to make a profit.
No.
It's unconscionable.
Oh, that's right.
She said.
And if you're supposed to spread it around, so get a pen and take down my address.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I had pretty good, another good day on eBay anyways. I did another $500 day yesterday.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I need to get there. Still working on that.
I just got to get all my Amazon shit up and going. I think I'm up to a grand total of 298 items I'm going to ship out today to Amazon.
Awesome. Yeah, I got my shipment off yesterday at Amazon. I sent in, what was it, like 60 items, I think. So it's all video games and like more highly rated stuff as far as the ranks, so it should go pretty quick. Slowly but surely getting rid of everything off of eBay and well, all my video games and movies and stuff that whatever I can send in that sells for 15 or 20 bucks. I'm just gonna keep eBay around for like the cheap stuff and the lots and the big stuff that I can't really send off to Amazon.
Yeah, I think using both tools is the way to go because, myself retail arbitraging for Amazon, but then realized that I could get the same amount on eBay, pay a little bit less fees. And, so I bought it for Amazon, but ended up selling it on eBay and making a little bit more money.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I've been doing is just trying to get approved for groceries, so I'm going out and buying, like, I'll clear a shelf if I find something on clearance for like $1. And just so I have the receipt to send to Amazon, I still got to get like 1 or 2 more. They keep asking for more. But, yeah, I'm just selling the stuff on eBay, and it's selling just as well on eBay as it would on Amazon, it seems. Well, the price. I'm not... some of the stuff is selling, though. I mean, I sold a 6-pack of these Sour Patch Kids that I got at Walmart for $1 each, and I got 15 bucks for it, and the dude paid like $30 to have it shipped to, I don't even know where. It was global shipping.
Yeah. Banana Twinkies is my favorite on eBay. People love that for some reason.
Yeah. So, I want to kind of get on topic with the whole, what items to avoid and what items to, that kind of encourage, problems with buyers.
Oh,
everybody knows clothing is probably at the top of that list. But,
Women's clothing.
yeah, women's clothing is probably worse than men's clothing from what I hear.
moving.
I don't sell any women's clothing.
And neither do I, for that reason.
Nope.
I avoid women's clothing like the plague. Is that...
That's mine doing it. That's mine doing it again. I just saw my mic going.
Yeah, your fan. Got a really bad or a really loud fan in the background. But yeah,
Real bad case of gas.
Say again? What was that, Brian?
Somebody must have had a real bad case of gas.
Nah, she has one of those lawn blowers to keep her laptop cool.
Oh, okay.
Right. Every once in a while, I get stuck with a piece of women's clothing just because it's it's like hung up with the men's. While I'm going through stuff really fast, I'll pull out a brand I know or whatever and just throw it in the cart, get it home. It's like, oh, whoops. So, yeah. But when I only pay like $1 or $2 for shirts, and if you're buying 10 or 20 items, it's okay to have to throw away a couple of them, in my opinion. But yeah, as far as some of the other stuff, like one of the issues that I tend to have problems with are like newer consoles, video game consoles, like Xbox 360s and PS3s, especially. I mean, they have a real tendency to, even if you test them and play with them for an hour, somebody plays it for a week and it red rings again, or you get the yellow light of death or whatever. So try to avoid those as much as possible. But like with the Xboxes, I've got an Xbox in my room, and I just keep an external hard drive with all my information on it. And so every week or so, I'll just take and swap it out with one of my other Xboxes, and that way I know it works, and it's been running for several hours during the week or whatnot, and usually that does a pretty good job of mitigating that. But what's your biggest issue item, Adam, that you have the problems with?
Items with price tags on them.
Yeah.
No, most of the time it's just my stupidity if I screw something up, but I don't really get too many returns, so I'm actually happy about that.
Yeah, I think I'd maybe get one return a month, if that. I mean, most of the time I get more return from undeliverable addresses than anything.
Well, I did have started at hassle-free returns. I had 5 returns immediately.
Really?
Some were clothing. Some was one was a set of earrings that a person bought, and a week and a half later wanted to return them, and the reason was I don't need them anymore.
Huh.
So,
Yeah.
and what were the other things? One was a jacket, earrings, reel-to-reel tape. Can't recall the other things, but it was a mix and match, and it was all this 14-day hassle-free returns.
Yeah, I've been doing the hassle-free returns. I opted in right away, and I haven't had any problems with it. I mean, like I said, I hardly ever get any returns, but I think the best way to avoid them depends on your niche. You just have to really do good item condition descriptions, and like I'll see other people's listings, and all I'll see in the item condition description is like great, or in the listing, they do like one sentence that just says, I ship fast or something like that. So, and then they take a couple pictures that just aren't really, I don't know.
That was the other one. Was a Patagonia shirt that they said was too small. But I had all the pictures with even the measurements in the pictures itself. But,
right.
You just never know.
Yeah. I don't think you can ever completely avoid that, but I think you can mitigate as much as possible with just taking really good photographs, and even if you think you're taking good photos, check eBay, double check. I mean, look at some other people's listings and what they're doing, and think of just, really think about it from a buyer's perspective. How do your photos really look compared to some of the other people's photos out there, and how do your listings look? What are other people doing? And I mean, I'm not saying that you should be long-winded or anything with your descriptions, but you gotta really pay attention. Morning, Robin.
Good morning.
Oh snap! Robin's here.
How you doing?
I'm okay.
What about security labels and UV things? UV pins.
Adam, I know you like to use the UV pins to make sure that they're sending you back your item, because they're invisible without the UV light, right? You've got those markers, yeah, and then you've got a little flashlight.
Flashlight.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. I use security labels on my big stuff, especially stuff that I've worked on myself, like Xbox 360s and PS3s, even VCRs and stuff. I'm gonna start doing it on, but I don't think it matters as much. If somebody wants to send it back, they're gonna send it back, and it doesn't really matter if the security label's on there, because I mean, you can't really prove that it was. Even if you do take pictures and everything, I think eBay would usually side with the seller or the buyer, but that's like one of those things you just got to kind of risk it if that's what you want to deal with. I mean, if you want to sell Xbox 360s, there are going to be people sending them back. But I have noticed the older consoles, like Nintendo 64s, PS2s, the old PlayStations, the old Nintendos, I never have issues with those. I mean, they never come back, and people are happy. I feel like stuff that collectors are buying, like really collectible stuff, as long as you describe the item well, and that person that's buying it knows what to expect, and they receive what they think they're going to receive, then you're going to be fine. Most of the time people are going to be, if they get it and it doesn't work, yeah, they're going to be mad. But I mean, people are buying that stuff because they want to collect it or they want to play it, and as long as it works, it's cool. But newer systems, like I said, they can play it for 2 days, and after 8 hours, all of a sudden it just dies, and now you're stuck having to pay for the return and everything. So they're more risky. But
Another thing, as far as security, is if you don't have the money for the labels or a UV pin or something like that, try and take like super close-up pictures of a mark or some kind of a scratch or scrape on the item that's very identifiable, so that basically they don't return something that's broken for something that you shipped out, especially like those game systems and things like that. If it has like a scratch on the bottom or whatnot.
yeah, definitely take detailed pictures, and if it has a serial number, take a picture of the serial number label, because those are really hard to remove and put onto another system. So if it comes back and like if I sell something really big and somebody tries to return it, after the one experience I had with an Xbox where somebody tried to crack it open and just left it completely broken, I've been actually taking videos of the unboxing. I'll do a video, okay, this person just sent this item back, here's their label, and then I just take a complete video from just opening it up, okay, we're good, and then I can just delete the video. But if there's an issue, then I've got the unboxing video to send to eBay, and it takes 5 seconds on my phone. I mean, it's not like it's extra work or anything, but it's just a little bit of extra proof to prove your case when it's time to, contact eBay and try and fight it if you need to. And over big money items, I feel like that's where you're going to get the most issues, because I mean, if you're encouraging, somebody's not going to take the time to scam you over 20 or 30 bucks, I don't think. But 100 to 150 on up, $500 maybe. Then that's when you're really going to deal with people that are trying to send their junk back and keep your working item, or whatever it is.
They'll scam you for whatever dollar amount it is. If they're unscrupulous, they're going to do it however they want to do it. I used to have problems with phone covers. People would send back a broken phone cover that wasn't even the same one that I sent to them, just so that they could get a free phone cover for $8 or whatever. I mean, it just hurts more whenever it's a big dollar item, but they do it no matter what the price, because they feel like they can get away with it, and it's easy on eBay to do.
Yeah, I think that falls into the whole what kind of items are you selling issue too. I mean, you gotta pay attention to what kind of things scammers are gonna be after. I mean, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it or to say it, but there are just certain items that lazy people will buy and just crappy people will buy, and those are the items that are more likely to come back with just have those issues. But I don't know. I feel like an unboxing video might be one of those things that you could use to help mitigate it a little bit. And I mean, if somebody does it once, they're probably doing it a lot, right? I mean, if they've got to have a history, and if you get enough sellers on your side, and you maybe go back to look through your list of sellers or the other people that they've bought items from, just to see, if any of them have had issues. Then if you get enough people, you can just call eBay or get more people to open cases, and then they'll remove the seller and remove all the feedback and everything.
Well, we've seen the seller with a pretty good history yesterday.
Yeah, I don't want to get into it.
Like, how are they even still on eBay at all?
Yeah, I know.
Seller, buyer, whatever you is.
What about you, Robin? You have any big issue items that seem to always, or that you seem to have track record of getting returns on? Or?
Robin.
She's working.
I'd say one to look out for. I haven't had a history with it, but maybe if you're selling Halloween costumes, because that's a one-time use thing. So buy it now, use it on Halloween, and then by November 2nd or 3rd, you're getting a return.
Exactly. That could be something. And, I mean, those are cheap, chintzy little things that everybody's going to be wanting those. So I feel like that kind of stuff, like the real cheap items, that are just kind of throwaway might be something that you have tend to have more issues with. But I'm trying to think. I mean, like, some of the stuff that I have great luck with, that I haven't had issues with, that never seem to come back, things like Legos. I mean, I can really take good pictures of those. I can describe exactly what the person's going to get, and the people that are after stuff like that know exactly what they're getting, as long as you do a good job of describing the item and know what they're getting before you make the purchase. I do have some issues with video games, like just standard video games. I've got a buffer, though, that does a pretty good job of getting the buffs out, and if it's an expensive game, I'll just take it to a game store and pay the $1 or $2 or whatever they charge for buffs, and get them buffed there. But you know, you just got to test all the games, and if you have a game that you really think is going to be an issue, and you're dealing with video games a lot, maybe you've got a lot of spare consoles, try it on multiple consoles to really make sure that it's going to work. Also, with like NES games and N64 games, the cartridge games, they've got little screws that I mean, they've got a security screw, but if you buy the bit on eBay for like $3 to $5 or whatever, it's really easy to just unscrew the cartridge and then pull out the circuit board, and the little gold leads on the bottom that plug into the console are really, really easy to clean up that way. I mean, I see a lot of people, they'll take a Q-tip or whatever and use rubbing alcohol or whatever. I actually use metal polish, stuff that they use, like Harley people use for the chrome, to polish their chrome, and it cleans up cartridges beautifully. And usually, if you're having an issue with a cartridge, that's what the issue is. And I mean, some of those games are such good money, and they're such fast sellers and good sellers that it's worth it to go through the hassle of doing all that. But
yeah, I'd say for me the biggest thing, and I think one of the biggest things it could be, is glassware, breakables. I know when I first started, I had a couple returns due to, you know, my fault that I didn't pack it good enough. So I'd say if you're gonna sell breakables, glass stuff, ceramic or whatever, make sure it's packed really, really good. Maybe if it's a high dollar item, maybe even take it somewhere and have them pack it and ship it.
yeah, glassware is. I've had a lot of issues with glassware. I took this shot glass, and it was like one of the really tall ones with the thin glass, and this lady bought it, and while I was packaging it, I had packed it all up, and I thought it was okay, and I dropped it. It fell down the stairs, and then when I picked it up, I could hear it shaking around in there. So it was like, oh crap. So I had to contact her. It was like a $5 shot glass. She was cool with it, and I just refunded her. She canceled the transaction, and it was good. But I do not like glassware for that reason. Anything pottery, no. I mean, I've got a few things listed right now just because I bought them to try out and they haven't sold yet. But I try to avoid that stuff as much as possible. I don't even look at that stuff anymore. What's happening, Jake? How you doing, man?
What's going on, guys?
Hey, Jake.
Hey.
So we're talking about the kind of thing.
Swear.
No, we're talking about items that are a pain, basically. Problem items, items that we tend to have issues with a lot as far as returns and like issues with shipping and customer complaints and stuff like that. I don't know if you've got a lot of I don't know if you sell a lot of stuff like that or if you have to deal with it a lot, but
Most problems I have is typically with things like clothing.
yeah, that seems to be,
Because people are like super picky.
yeah. Do you do a lot of women's clothing, or do you just stick with men's clothing?
I just stick with men's clothing. I haven't been able to be manly enough to walk into the women's section yet.
Nice, Jake.
Yeah, I know how that is. one thing I've noticed about clothing, it seems like most of the returns, for me anyway, are with like the more formal stuff. You know, casual
Right.
wear like T-shirts and athletic wear. You know, like zip-ups and windbreakers and stuff that people don't really care how well it fits, just as long as they can put it on and it does the job. Rash guards, things like that. Just as long as you describe it right and you take decent pictures, people know what. That's another thing. They know what they're gonna get. They're not gonna be picky about it when they receive it. So I really like stuff like that, like the Nike and the Adidas and Under Armour. Under Armour's been a great brand, and I mean I think there are a lot of no-name brands that you can buy and sell with athletic clothing as well. You know, like rash guards. I've sold rash guards. I didn't even know what the brand was. I just bought it because it was $1, and I know that those things sell for like $10 or $20 all day, even for the stuff that isn't worth anything. I mean, the cheapest brand new rash guard you're gonna get on eBay is probably gonna be $20.
Wow.
But I think maybe hunting gear too.
Yeah, especially like hunting jackets and stuff like that. That's real big.
Like working jackets, Carhartts,
Yeah.
stuff that you know people are just buying to go to work in. They're not so
Right.
concerned with little stains, and they're not so concerned with all the little details and just how great it, how perfectly it fits. You know, they just want to throw it on, and they want some stuff like that. I think it's more the brand is going to be really important, though, if you're trying to, you know, get top dollar for a work jacket.
Yeah.
Or work.
Well, I try not to mess with anything that's off-brand, like in any item. And that's just my personal preference because when it's an off-brand, it seems harder to look up. It seems like it's more work, and I just don't want to mess with it.
Yeah, the only off brands that I mess with are athletic clothing, and it's only with certain clothing items. You know, like obviously I don't mess with women's clothing, so I don't run across a lot of yoga pants. But,
Right.
You know, but I think stuff like running shorts and yoga pants and rash guards and you know, just like loose fitting, the stuff that people are gonna put on and sweat their ass off in the gym is the kind of stuff that it doesn't matter as much, just as long as it's in really good condition, it doesn't smell, it doesn't have stains, and it's not all stretched out, it's got its form. All of that put together is as long as you know what to look for, certain clothing items are you're gonna be able to sell, and you're not gonna have to worry as much about returns, because I mean the kind of person's buying that is somebody that, you know, they're going to the gym, you know, so they're probably motivated. They're probably just want to, you know, they want their stuff, and they're gonna just get it, forget about it, and use it.
Now, speaking of the gym, I wonder if the guy with the 3-day-old sweat socks has many returns.
Yeah, I don't want to think about that.
Do you have an item not as described on that? We'll have to order some for Robin and let her describe them.
I haven't had coffee yet. It's too early.
Don't make us get the goats.
The what? The goats?
Yeah.
Y'all know the shower curtain I got the other day? The shower, like, what?
Mm-hmm.
I sold it for $56.
Nice.
Have you ever had a return on a shower curtain, Robin?
No.
How many have you sold?
2. This one that I'm about to ship off and the other one.
Yeah, that might be another thing that you don't have to worry as much about.
Did you ever blacklight that thing?
Nope.
Okay.
How do you know which shower curtains to buy? Just look them up, or it?
If it's Pottery Barn and it's a children's shower curtain, get it.
Yeah.
Really? That's something to look out for sure.
Because the shower curtain that I have, if it was in excellent condition and didn't have all the water stains on it, yes, it sold with water stains for $56.
Wow.
It could have sold for up to $150 to $200.
That's crazy.
That might be
See, and
another.
that's another thing that I'm probably leaving money on the table with is pretty much I pass up anything that has to do with kids when it comes to clothing and stuff like that.
You know, I've got a 4-year-old, so I actually go through the clothing section a lot, but I haven't really bothered to look up how much that stuff goes for, and I probably should because it's really small. It's easier to take pictures of, and that's another thing that I feel like maybe, I mean, people are going to buy it, and they're buying it because they're going to use it, and they're not so concerned about how it fits. You know, it's just they're going to buy it and put it on their kid, and when they're done, they're going to donate it.
Right.
I don't try and sell children's clothes simply because I know there's like tons and tons of ways to get kids' clothes for really cheap. So I haven't even tried to bother with it yet.
Right. Well, that's the thing. If you can buy it cheap, there's probably somebody out there that's willing to pay money for a North Face kids jacket that you paid $1 for.
Exactly.
I mean, I run into stuff like that all the time. But you always talk about like the He-Man bed sheets and the you know, stuff like that.
Kids' linens and vintage cartoon linens and that kind of stuff. I pick that stuff up. That's actually the very first things that I sold when I started on eBay. That's how I started on eBay, was selling stuff like that. So.
Yeah, and that's just another thing, you know. People are buying it because they want it. There aren't a bunch of scammers out there that are looking to, you know, trade out their bed sheets.
Yeah.
Well, you never know.
You don't. I mean,
It's the Louis Vuitton.
They might have their reasons.
Of course, like I said, there's nothing you can do to avoid scammers. But you can mitigate it as much as possible just by taking great pictures and having a detailed item description and making sure that your condition description is good. You know,
Making sure measurements are in there.
I like to think that for the most part, the general population are halfway decent people. So you throw a few bad eggs in there and you might have to deal with them, but for the most part, people aren't out on eBay to scam you, I don't think.
True. I do feel like there are certain niches, though, where you're asking for it. You know, I mean, people might buy it because they want a part out of the item, and then they'll change the part out and send it back. Or, you know, maybe like Picker Army was saying, they just want a new cell phone case. So they buy a cell phone case, and then they just return yours because it's like one of those cheap little $8 throwaway items and everybody uses cell phones, you know, and they don't have anything else to do with their old cell phone case, so they're replacing it. Maybe replaceable stuff that they use every day, but they've got to buy it, and they're buying it to replace it. That kind of stuff might be an issue.
I think what Robin is saying is, yeah, even with the cell phone, I was basically making a point that it didn't really make a difference as far as price on the cell phone cases, but 99% of them that I sold and shipped were fine. You know, just had that 1% of people that are out there that just, you know, they're asshats. But I'm definitely in agreement with Robin on that. I think probably 99% of the people are just, I'm gonna go buy something on eBay and they're gonna keep it. You know, I think we're just talking about that 1% out there and trying to avoid them, and you know, whatever we can do to keep them from wanting to scam us in some way.
Right.
Honestly, a lot of times anymore, it isn't even their fault. They're just like accidentally opening cases and screwing us.
Yeah.
Just by trying to get a hold of us.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing today, right? That new system. I think I talked about. I don't know if I talked about it on this morning show, but where I had purchased something recently, And me as a seller, I understand not opening a case, so I just went to go ask the person a question, like how they handle an item that doesn't show up. I didn't want to open a case on them. And I went through the process to make sure nothing said, I'm going to open a case on the individual. And then whenever I asked the question at the end, it said, you have now opened a case on this individual, and they will contact you, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what? Like,
Aw.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure. Like, what's everybody's defect rating as of yesterday? The 20th is our report card day. I think everybody has the same day, or the same day where eBay updates your rating, and it always seems like during the middle of the month I'll see little changes, but I always get this huge swing on the 20th, and I went from 1.49% to 1.04% this month. What did everybody else? How did you do? Do you know what your rating is, Talbot?
I'm not for sure. I'm trying to look now.
If you go to
Mine's-
my and you find your dashboard, then you can just go to your dashboard and it'll come right up. It'll say seller dashboard. Click on that, and you'll have like a little graph, and it'll tell you what your rating is. And then right underneath
Mine-
that, you'll have a percentage.
0.67.
On us, it says top-rated seller scheduled to be freaking above average because of scanning at the post office.
Oh no. What's it at?
Let me get to it. It was like 87%, whatever, just off that one thing.
No, what's the defect percentage though?
The number above that percentage is the defect percentage.
Yeah, that's right. If your number is, or you got your defect rating, and then underneath that you have your shipping rating. And the shipping rating is the part that's kind of a pain because, I mean, if you sell a lot of small items, there are tons of items that I used to deal in that I just don't deal with anymore because I would just put a stamp on it and throw it in an envelope and let it go. And that worked out great for me. But then when they did the defect rating thing where you have to upload all of your tracking, they had to stop doing that. What about you, Picker Army? What's your defect rating?
I'm not telling.
Fine.
Is that bad?
It's 2.18, so it's like actually come down. It was like 2.4.
Where do you see that defect rating at again?
Okay, if you go to Seller Dashboard,
All right.
and then click on that, and there's going to be a...
I don't think. Do you have that if you're not a store? If you don't have a store?
Yes.
You do still have the Seller Dashboard? Okay, so you go to the Seller Dashboard, and it'll say whatever your top rated is, or above standard or below standard. And then in performance to date, you'll have your percent of your transactions that had defects, and then percentage of your transactions that had tracking uploaded, and then how many cases have resolved and all that stuff.
Top number.
Top number is your defect rate.
Where
Do you
does it show
not
the
have
percentage?
that, Brian? Does
Where
it
does
not show
show
up
the-
that way for you?
What, Mark? Hold on a second, please.
What about you, Jake? What's your defect rating? You don't have to share it if you don't want to, but
No, mine's at 3% actually.
wow. And do you know why?
Well, I had the guy that complained about the item didn't work, and he never contacted me, but he said he did. Said he left me emails. I checked everywhere. I tried to get the defect removed. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then I had one package that was lost in transit, and I never was able to locate that, but I just found out that a mail carrier from my area just got in trouble for stealing mail, so
Yeah. Well, as long as it was uploaded, then was the tracking ever uploaded by the post office, or did he just take it?
No, they never scanned it or anything.
Okay,
I
so
dropped it off and it never got scanned or nothing. So there was nothing really I could do about it.
Yeah, that's why I never, I mean, I've got a great postman. I love him, but he's kind of he rolls his eyes when he sees a big box of stuff that he's got to pick up. And so I just take all my packages to the post office myself every day, drop them off on the counter. And if I'm late, you know, if it's 6 o'clock at night, I can go, and the front office is closed, I can just go and knock on the back door, and there's somebody back there that'll take it. And I've done that a few times. And I've even gone in there on a holiday. And I forgot it was a holiday, and it's like, man, I'm already here. And then I go and knock on the back door, and there's somebody back there working. So I just knock on it, and they take it, and they're always happy to take them.
Yeah, I take mine in too, and typically, like 99% of the time it's good, but that time it wasn't. So between those two things, I'm sure it makes up 1%, because neither was too happy.
Right. What about you, Callie?
The one account I have 1.87, and let me see what the other one is. That was the top rated one. The other one I know will have different ones because that's the one that has all the returns. Hang on one moment.
Yeah, while he's looking it up, do you know what yours is, Danica, off the top of your head? Really? Wow. 0%.
So the one is 1.87, the other one is 3.81.
Okay. And is that your clothing account?
No, that's the mixture account. Yeah, it has clothing on. I have clothing on both of them. But, that is one of them.
Yeah. I've actually been tempted to. Is that you that's getting the feedback there, Kelly? The echoing?
Let me see. Let me mute myself.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds like it was. That's no biggie. I heard it last night in your video, by the way. So just it might be something with your microphone or something. But yeah, as far as the defect, I think the best way to avoid defect is just do a lot of volume. And oh, there you go. Danica's showing off.
Brian, were you able to figure out yours? When you see your dashboard and you see your thing up here, it says top rated or it says above standard, you just click on that box and then scroll down. It'll have the number. I'll show you.
Yeah, if you look on your eBay page, there's activity, messages, account, and applications. If you go to account, just mouse over it and then go down to seller dashboard. That's it. And it'll have all your numbers right there.
I see mine, but I don't see no percentage number.
Let me.
Yeah, like y'all talking about 1.87. I don't see a number like that.
I'll show you this right here. Sign in.
I see. Yeah, I don't see no percentage number on mine at all.
If you guys watch mine, you go in here to account, and then over here it says seller dashboard, and then right up here, these things, you just click on either one. Just click on this one, and then scroll down. Oh, click on this one, and it has a percentage right here. You just click on this box up here or here.
I did that, but I don't see no percentage.
Did you open
try another box like this one over here? It has the actual number. This one will have the percentage. Not sure why it does that.
I don't.
Yeah, that's no big deal. I mean, if you can't find it, you can look it up later. But what about you, Adam? We're talking about our defect ratings. What's yours at now that had it been? We just had a report card yesterday.
I gotta figure it out.
All right. So yeah, I think volume is probably the best way to mitigate. And I mean, that's tough though, especially if you're part time or you a new seller that has a lot of restrictions on your account. But I I'm actually thinking about doing another account just to put all my clothing in, just so that I can see and kind of experiment with it a little bit. Because if I open up a new account and I just start doing like some high dollar clothing to start until I get my numbers up, and then I can start listing some of the other stuff as well, like like the Ralph Lauren polos and the smalls, I guess. 'Cause I've got enough really big stuff that it would be worth it for me to do like 10 listings and $50 to $100 on each one, and then once I get those sold, then list or call eBay and try and get my numbers raised. And I think it'd be a cool little project to just see how much of a pain it is these days, because I mean I've had my eBay account for so long. I've been on eBay since '99, on and off, that I've just always taken that part of it for granted, and I don't even think about it sometimes when I'm trying to explain stuff, especially to new sellers, how tough it is to kind of get started right away, and how important it is to really make sure that you're mitigating your collateral damage to your feedback as much as possible, until you can get your numbers up high enough where eBay will let you start selling in volume. But above standard, what's the percentage? Do you know?
Who are you asking, Paul?
Oh, Adam. Is he going to show it?
Yeah, am I presented?
Yeah.
Alright.
There we go. One defect. Oh, it's still pretty good. That's what I'm talking about. If you're not doing super volume, then it's really hard. If you click on the other link, what does it say? If you click
This
on,
one?
yeah, click on that. Wait, go back. Oh, 9. Yeah, I don't know. It's not giving a percentage. That's strange.
So that's what mine does too.
Oh, is it? Yeah, that might just be a volume thing. Maybe you have to be at a certain level.
I
You're
still got
looking at 2.56 defect rate,
Ooh,
Adam.
go scroll down again right there. That's not a 2 point anything. It's a below 2. Scroll back up a little till it has the number line right there. See, it's below 2% because that top rated.
Yeah, it looks like you should be top rated, but I think you have to do a certain number of transactions.
Yeah, you gotta sell over 100. I'm
Yeah.
51 away. I gotta get back to listing on there.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean you're
You
mostly
don't
on
get
Amazon
percentage until
anyway.
you have 100 items.
Yeah, I've literally got a bunch of stuff for eBay. I'm just trying to take care of the Amazon stuff, but
That's when you start selling recipes for a penny.
Yeah, make sure that you put local pickup only on the auction. That's one good way to get your feedback up once eBay starts to raise your limits. You can just do recipes for a penny, local pickup only, and everybody that's bidding on that stuff knows exactly what is going on with it. And then you just exchange feedback, and that's another problem. I know a couple months ago, I think it was, Picker Army posted a video to try to help raise his feedback rating with some app. I don't know. How's that working out for you?
It worked awesome when I first started it. I mean, it still does pretty well, I think. I get a ton of, way more feedbacks now than I did before, but, it's kind of like some people don't like it because it's kind of like sticking your heads in the lion's mouth, because you're kind of telling people, hey, I know you bought something from me, so you're kind of reminding them. So if they did have an issue or something like that, they could possibly come back. But so far, what I started doing now is actually to get away from this whole issue like I was talking about trying to contact the individuals. Now I put a link for people to contact me directly in an email with, it's called KI Feedback. Costs $1 a month. And so basically I have it set up where when somebody leaves me positive feedback, it automatically leaves them positive feedback. If someone doesn't leave feedback after a certain amount of time, it'll send a message, hey, was everything okay? We just want to share in, giving positive feedback to each other. If there is anything wrong, you can click this link and contact us and let us know what's going on. And for the most part, people have sent messages and said, oh no, I love the item and this and that, and I was like, and then I just sent them a message back, hey, I'm going to leave you some positive feedback. Can you do the same for me? I'm sure glad that you got the item and everything worked out for you. Make sure you check out my store for other items or something like that. And it's so far it's worked out great. I haven't had any issues, and my feedback rating actually I just looked at it today. It's 100%. I don't know why. I guess something fell off recently, and now I'm up to 100%. And the percentage of people that leave feedback went up a lot. Like before, I was only getting probably about 20% of my buyers' feedback. Now I'm over like 50% or more.
Yeah, what I like about that is it makes the customer think that the link that you provide them is how to fix the problem.
Yeah.
And that sounds like a really, really good way to kind of mitigate any accidental feedback. I mean, I've had accidental negative feedback that was really irritating, and neutral feedback that was really irritating, and stuff that I think could have been averted just by talking to the person. And I've had multiple negative feedbacks reversed because I just get a hold of them and, hey, I'm sorry, blah, 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 do my spiel, and they fix it after I fix the problem. And if it wasn't my fault, then, we can usually work it out. But just to be able to have somebody comment or, like, send you a comment or a question or whatever, instead of having to click through eBay's stuff and accidentally open a case, that's huge. We're going to have to... What was the name of that?
It's KI Feedback.
KI Feedback. I'm going to have to look into that some more.
If you go into your sign into Google and then under, I think it's under Applications, there's a tab for Applications. I mean, sign into eBay, and then under Applications, you can search the applications, KI or Kai or however you say it, or Key or something, whatever it is. They have like bunch of different apps. That's not the only one that they have, but that's the one I use. They have Markdown Manager and a social media one, and but it's called KI Feedback, and I think you get like a month free or something like that. But I mean, for $1 a month, $12 per year, it's worth it just to get one individual to contact you and not lose a $20 sale. You know what I mean? Or get that negative feedback that could lose you multiple sales. So.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I probably get, I think it's about that 20%, which you were talking about, is pretty accurate for my feedback level. And, I mean, if I could get that number up to, 80%, that would be huge. So I'm definitely going to be trying that app out just to see how it goes. But, I mean, the thing that really... I mean, I noticed it because I remember when you posted that video, and your feedback was a lot lower than it is now. I mean, I think, didn't you have like 100 feedback when you made that video, and now it's over 500?
Yeah, I had like 2 something. It doubled since I did the video, but.
Yeah. I mean, you're focused on Amazon, obviously. So I mean, you're not even really doing that much on eBay. You don't have a lot of volume going out on eBay, but it really seemed to.
Yeah, I've noticed that I've got probably right now, if I looked, because it's been a while since I made the video and I've actually looked, but I noticed like now, especially since I do less on eBay, that when a sale happens, I'm almost certain to get a feedback. Now, I mean, I really look for them because I can, that's how I found out I had 100% today, because I was going and looking at the feedbacks that I got recently for items to see which ones I got feedbacks for. But yeah, I mean, it definitely brings them up. for me, I think having your head in the lion's mouth kind of thing is, I think it's more for when you're sending multiple messages like, hey, you didn't leave a feedback, and then a week later you're like, dude, you still didn't leave a feedback, and then finally they're like, dude, I had a problem and I don't want to screw you over, but now you keep sending me messages, so guess what? I'm coming to get you. But if this thing sends an automatic email like once, maybe twice, I could see how it's not going to really piss people off or get to them. And then if you have the messages in there that say contact me, contact me directly with this link, it's just that much easier, because now they don't have to go through that hassle, because once they start going through that eBay hassle of how do I contact this guy, I have a problem, they'll go, oh, I have that email, I could just hit that and go directly to him. And then you don't get those open cases and stuff.
Right.
I brought it up under eBay. Just so you know, it's $3.99 a month, which still is minimal for the standard version, and then $29.99 a year for the platinum.
Oh, they must have raised it, because I'm looking at it right now, and it says that I pay $11.99 per month or per year for platinum.
Oh, for platinum?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I guess they must have raised the prices or something.
Yeah, I mean,
it sounds like a good service. I mean, if it's a good, legitimate service, maybe they just put it out there to, kind of like a beta test for themselves. They realized they had something, and then they started getting some subscribers, and they just started raising their prices. I could see why people would do that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like Profit Bandit. It didn't surprise me when I heard that you have to pay for it. I'm still not paying for it, but it's one that I plan on doing when I get more into Amazon and I really start hitting the retail arbitrage harder, because I feel like that's something that you got to have. You can't rely on just the Amazon Seller app. The Amazon Seller app is great. It's awesome to get you started, but all the things that, or all the time that Profit Bandit saves you, I mean, just by telling you how much it actually has sold for, camel is huge. I mean, right now if I find an item, I've got to look it up on Amazon. I got to kind of look at the ranking and be like, all right. And then if it looks like, wow, this thing's $20 and it's selling for $75, wait a minute. Then I have to go to Camel and double check that and see what the price range is on that. And I mean, it just takes up so much time, especially when you're on your phone. It just seems like Profit Bandit might be a good way to, obviously, to just streamline everything a little bit more, which I think is more important than anything when you're out there, is just finding ways to maximize your time. I mean, and as far as the feedback thing, that feedback app, that's another thing. I mean, I know guys that will sit there and send messages. It's like, hey, will you leave me a feedback? Having a kind of a really low invasive, like a non-invasive way to automate that part and make it so that the customer has an easy way to absolutely every time send you feedback or send you a comment instead of opening a case on accident or whatever they have to do, or having a way so that they know how to get a hold of you if there's an issue. That sounds awesome. Yeah. But, so you just got home, Eric?
Yeah, I was out running around. I had to go service the car wash and hit the bank.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you were talking yesterday. I know you're not top rated, but you do ridiculous volume. So, I mean, how do you handle like customers? Like, what do you feel like are the worst items for you that you have the most issues?
Well, obviously, previously clothes was my nightmare. That's why I don't do it. But for the most part, it's the mailman creasing photos and paper items.
Paper items? What do you mean?
If you have a piece of paper and stuff, people want it nice and flat and crisp. So you put it between a couple pieces of cardboard and a padded mailer,
put "Do Not Bend" on it, and then the postman bends it in like 6 different places and shoves it in a, tiny hole or something, crumples it up, and then delivers it. And that's my fault.
I could see that being a big problem. What do you think your percentage is of returns / complaints on that kind of stuff?
Maybe 1 out of every 200 to 300.
Okay, so it's still really low. It's not like it's
it's really low. I've only had 2 returns. One is my fault because I accidentally described something as mother of pearl, and it was just a really nice plastic. I didn't pay enough attention to it, but I didn't get gigged for that. That was no big deal. And then the other one is because somebody decided not to read my listing, where I posted like 12 different times that it was reproduction, and they thought it was an original selling for 1/10 of the price of the, what it should be, and so they returned it once they got it. But that's the only 2 returns I've had this year.
And how are you not top rated then? What's your defect rating? If you don't mind me asking.
Oh, that's just people complaining. It's like 3% or something.
Okay, so
They complain about everything. I just don't care.
Yeah. Well,
I get people constantly that want, partial refunds and this and that, but they won't send the item back. I had one guy tell me that he only has a 35mm camera, so he can't send me a picture of it. And I said, that's fine. I'll wait for you to develop the film. He didn't like that answer.
That is brilliant.
I don't play into those games, and I haven't been top rated in forever, and I just don't notice it, so I don't really care.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's my fault or something, or if it's something that's reasonable, I'll do my best to fix things. And I'm the kind of guy that it's not about money. So if it's something reasonable and it's something that I had control over, I'll make it right. But if they're just trying to scam me, I'm going to report the shit out of them and tell them to get lost.
Yeah, that's fun.
I've sent stuff into the FBI for scammers to their internet scam. I've reported them to the postmaster.
Wow. So you don't play?
No, it's easy to report people, and you don't have to give them a ton of info, and it may never go anywhere, but then again, if 20 other people report them to the postmaster for mail fraud, they might pick the case up,
That's a really good idea. Like, that's one of the things. If you're gonna actually try to defend yourself against a scammer, I think you have to do a little bit more than just go to eBay and tell them, hey, this is not, they sent me a different item back. And
right. Well,
you can take it to that next level, and you can get a couple of the other people that have been scammed by that person involved. Now all of a sudden, that guy gets a call from the FBI. Maybe he won't make another account.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what people forget is that, eBay is not the law. They're not even close. They make up their own policies. They're a private corporation, publicly traded or whatever the hell it is, but they're not the law at all. So they really can't. Their only recourse is to kick you off. That's it. So if that's all you care about is getting them to get kicked off, then great, report it to eBay. But if you really don't like the fact that they're just scum, start reporting them to all the other federal agencies. I mean, mail fraud is mail fraud, wire fraud, internet fraud. It's all fraud if they were using a computer in eBay to defraud you of your money or your products.
That's a very, very good point. I'm glad that we've got you around. You're going to have to explain how all that works at some point. Maybe we'll do an episode about it. I mean, hell, we could talk about it right now if it's pretty simple, but I mean...
Sure, you can just put SME next to my name. with a little clown face.
Right? So, I mean, is there a website or something you can go to make where it's really simple? I mean, I was talking earlier about doing the videos when something big comes back, doing an unboxing video and sending that to eBay as part of my case. But, I mean, if there's somebody else I can send it to, I would do that as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, in eBay, I've had good luck talking to them. I also happen to know somebody in Salt Lake I tried to convince them to do a video, but they won't. But yeah, I mean, it's really with eBay. It all depends on who you talk to, you know. And sometimes even calling back will get you further. I actually had a bad experience with eBay one time. I had a lady that got snippy with me on the phone, so I kind of bit her head off, and she suspended my account on a personal opinion.
Wow, they can just do that?
Yeah, and I called back and spoke to a supervisor. My suspension and the feedback I was trying to get removed got removed. And
awesome.
And he reported her because it was all completely personal.
That is so awesome. I mean, that's another thing I've heard people doing. Like, they'll call eBay and they'll be like, "Hey, I need to get this feedback removed," and then the person's like, "I can't do that," so they call back later. They try it again. "No, we can't do that, sir," and then they'll call back again, and it's like, "Oh yeah, that sounds like it was definitely not your fault. Here, let me
Right.
for you."
It's always worth calling and pursuing it. And I mean, I do try to get as much of it removed as I can, because why not? You know, it doesn't hurt to try.
Yeah, and it's not a bad thing to be. I mean, that's part of being a professional, I guess, is just not letting things get swept under the rug, not just ignoring things. I mean, really pursuing like issues and making sure that everything gets done the way that it's supposed to get done. And I mean, that's one of the things that I'm kind of a little complacent on, just because I guess I don't have enough issues, and a lot of the time it's just really small stuff that I don't care about anyway.
Yeah, it's always worth trying to get it adjusted, you know. And that's the thing. Most of my feedback that stayed is package arrived late, or silly stuff like that people really don't care about. I mean, I don't have any feedback on there that said I screw people over, which to me is the feedback you don't want to have. If you send something late or something like that, people will forgive that kind of stuff. It's eBay. It's not Amazon.
Right, and you can always just reply to the feedback. I do that every time I see negative feedback. If it's a questionable thing, like one of the negatives I have right now, I've got 2 negatives and like 2,800 positives.
I'll be right back.
All right. In the last 12 months, and I mean, it's like one of the negatives. This guy called me This guy bought an item, and he thought that he was supposed to get 2 of them because of the way that it was. He didn't understand the wording. He wasn't. And I tried to explain to him, that's not how it is. And I was like, yeah, that's not how it works, man. You only bought 1 item or whatever. And he was like, oh, okay, well, no biggie. And then here, I'll just cancel the transaction. And then I sent him a cancellation request, and he freaked out on me. And he's like, oh, this guy's trying to. I mean, first of all, I refunded him immediately, and then I sent him the item cancellation request, and he's like, oh no, he didn't. I can't even hardly read the comment that he left because he just didn't really speak very good English, and there's just a communication barrier with that one. And then the other negative that I've got was some lady. She's like, the computer game that I sold for $5. She's just like, oh, it stopped. The install froze at 65%. Please help me. So I just responded to that. Tried to contact the customer because I did. I sent her a couple of different messages and she never answered back. So it was like, what do you do about it? And it was so long ago now, I don't even know if I can go back and get it changed if I do call eBay. But I mean, that's one of the things that video computer games seems to be one of those items for me that is a real issue, and I have a lot of issues with. So I try not to sell those unless they're new, and you really got to know the game. You really got to know how they work to mess with computer games. So I always tell everybody, anytime they're in the or whatever, and they see a bunch of games, or if they're garage sales and you see a bunch of games, stay away from computer games unless you know exactly what you're looking at. because man, it's just like kind of that they've got all the little codes, and they've got your like if you can't install the game without the code, or it's a one-time use code. I mean, you just unless you know the game and you know how it works, then you've got to be careful, and they're just not worth picking up most of the time. But I'm trying to think of some of the
What
other.
about the amount of ratings people have? If you have a 0 rating person, does that skew your thoughts about this person or not?
What do you mean a 0 rating person?
Like somebody buys something from you, they have 0 feedback.
You know, I don't even look at their feedback very closely. Only when they send me comments and messages. I mean, if I sell something for $500 and a 0 rating person buys it, I'm gonna be extra careful about. You know, I might even do a packaging video where I put print out the label, put it on whatever, just so that I've got some evidence. But that doesn't happen very often. Most of the time, when somebody tries to when it's a low feedback person, you know, it might be a $20 or $30 item or whatnot. But what about you? Is that something that bothers you?
I don't know. I'm just asking. I've heard people talk about it, and I mean, you definitely get a feeling of, I think, more fear of somebody buying from you that has 0 feedback, but there's really nothing you can do. I mean,
Well, yes,
worst thing is you just kind of go, oh man, that guy has 0 feedback.
Here's the thing with the 0 feedback fear is that's a thing of the past. That is around from the days before mandatory PayPal. If I sell something to somebody with 0 feedback through PayPal, they have a verified address, and I have shipping and tracking, then there's no problems. As soon as it gets delivered, I'm covered. They have to return the item or open a case to cause me any more trouble. They can't just disappear with it. You know what I mean?
Right. But what I'm saying is as far as returns. So individuals that have no clue about eBay, they don't know what they're looking at. They're like, that looks exactly like what I want to buy. It's a PlayStation 2. But they don't look at the fact that it says 4 parts only, and then they get it. Because they're a 0 feedback person, they have no clue.
Right. I got what you're saying. Yeah, I don't worry about it. I mean, but I also don't deal with the clothes and all the electronic stuff, you know.
Right. Yeah, I'm just asking. I mean, there's really nothing you can do about it.
Well, you can set your settings, but you know, I wouldn't recommend it just because you're going to cut out a lot of buyers. Because, well, especially in the collectible market, I get guys that, you know, they're in their 70s, just found out about eBay, and next thing you know, they spend $300 on Militaria, you know, and they have 0 feedback, and I'm more than happy to send it to them.
Right.
Yeah, that's the way I feel about 0 feedback people. And I mean, if it says for parts, and they try to open up a case, and they tell eBay it didn't work, and eBay looks at the listing, and they're going to side with you, and they're going to make them pay return shipping. At least they should, and if they don't, then that's when you get on the phone. I mean, you can't be afraid to pick up the phone if somebody's trying to screw you over. And even if they're not trying to screw you over, if they just didn't know what they were buying, then you know it is what it is. You can call eBay and try and get it worked out. But I think a lot of times these guys don't even know. Like if it's a 0 feedback person, maybe they don't even know how eBay works, and they don't even understand like how to do the returns and all that. I mean, I've had people that have messaged me like, you know, they had some kind of problem with the item, and they didn't know how to open up a return or return the item to me, and I had to walk them through it.
Well, we like those kind of people.
Yeah, exactly.
If they don't know how to use the return system, that's my favorite kind.
Every once in a while, I wonder if that's what's going on when I sell something to a 0 feedback person, that it's a sketchy item, but I do a good job of telling them what it is and everything, but I could see how they could look at that and just quickly click through and buy it and think that they were buying something else or buying, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then maybe they just got the item and didn't know how to return it.
You started to bring up something earlier about people that ask a lot of weird questions about items or questions that are already answered in the description? You tend to see more returns from those types of people versus, you know, folks that ask like a serious question or something that makes sense.
I have a tendency to block people for asking too many questions. I mean, if somebody sends me a question and then I answer it and they're like, okay, well, what about this and this and this? It's like, okay, you're blocked. And I'll keep the dialogue going with them and just keep talking to them and trying to, you know, work it out. And then if at the end of the conversation I feel good about it, I'll take them off the block list. It's not like I'm just trying to, you know, oh, I don't want to deal with you. But I feel like people who ask too many questions are an issue. You know, I mean, they're people that are looking for a reason to find a problem with the item, and they're more likely to cause problems when they receive the item.
I tell you what would be nice if they had like you know how like you go to some sites and you got to read through all this and click the little check box before you can move forward. They had that for listings, like I understand and read the listing. Click, then you can bid or.
They tried that contract thing early on. That you are what is it? You're involved in a contract now and blah 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 and all that stuff. But I guess it doesn't work online or something.
Well, it does if you want to take them to civil court, but who's got time for that shit?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a big enough item, I could see somebody doing that.
I've known people that have done it and won, but we're talking, you know, tens of thousands of dollars is what was agreed upon, and they were going to stand to lose a lot of money if it didn't go through. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a $100 item, it costs you $100 just to file a case.
Yeah, I know Danica just had an issue with a seller where she bought a printer that they didn't come through on because the price was too low. Like, she got it for $40, and the seller was like, "Oh, I can't sell this item to you at that price or whatnot." I don't even know what she'd have to tell you herself, but the seller
won for that.
What's that?
It was an auction she won and got the printer for that, and they told her no, that they weren't going to sell it to her?
They're not going to sell it to her, and they canceled the transaction, and they refunded her money. And they didn't, when eBay, or when she went to check the message, she had no, you know, usually when you cancel an item, it'll say the customer has to agree. Well, she never got that. No. They just canceled it on her.
Customer does not have to agree. No, you can. If you have an auction, you can end it at any time before the auction is completed.
The auction completed, and I won the auction. And they sent me a message saying, "I'm sorry, I can't sell it to you for that price." And I sent them a message back saying, "I don't care. There was no reserve on the auction. I want the printer." And I get a refund and an email from eBay saying the seller canceled this item. If you don't get your refund within 3 days, let us know.
Right.
And I was
that can happen with before it is shipped out to you and before the transaction is complete. And that the completion part is shipping the item out and uploading the shipping information. They can cancel it before then without your approval. eBay will send them a note saying, "Hey, this is not very good, and you should not do this all the time. You'll have things happen against you."
Well, but the thing is, if I have the message saying that the only reason they're not going to ship it to me is because they don't like the fact that it sold so low, then why would eBay not make them ship it?
They can't force them to. They just
you can't make anybody do anything.
No, but you know what I mean.
No, but they should back you on that.
They should back you on that.
They do, and they put that notation on that seller's account.
Well, they get a defect for that, right? Doesn't the seller get a defect? Yeah.
Yes, they do.
Right.
It's not kind of like it's not a defect. It's an annotation on their account, and when they do that a certain amount of times, then they can get in trouble.
Right. I talked about that the other day. eBay does keep files on buyers and sellers. Every time you hit that report button, even if you don't hear something back, it still goes into their file, and at a certain point, the computer will flag it and send it to somebody's desk. You got to
Actually-
remember, 90% of eBay is run by a computer. You know,
Yeah.
that's how,
I meant to
like,
report
sometimes
them
if you
and I
have an item that's
forgot
banned
you said that.
and you can't get it listed, but you see like 20 of them sold, that's because 20 of them made it through the computer sensor.
Right. And Danica, with reporting that buyer, it's already annotated. When they canceled the transaction themselves, they had a warning thing, a warning screen they had to go through saying, "Hey, you're canceling this transaction on a completed auction. This goes against your account." Blah blah blah.
Did you report them, Danica, and put in the comments that they said because it went too cheap?
Well, he sent me that message through the eBay messaging system.
Well, they can still ignore the, or like sometimes they're not checking all the messages. You have to tell them to check
But
them.
no, I mean, that's what I'm saying. There was no case.
Right.
There
won't
was
be.
You can
nothing.
still go in there and
He
under your
sent me a
transaction
message
details,
saying,
you can still report them.
"Oh, I'm gonna report him." I'm just saying there was no case. There was no nothing. It was. I think the only reason that he sent me the message was hoping that I would cancel.
Well, maybe I
Only
see.
thing that
I've not
can-
canceled something for out of stock, but maybe if you click out of stock, you don't need the buyer's permission. That's the only thing I can think of.
There's the cancel now. Now there's a thing showing, and it's showing up as unpaid items.
See, I would call eBay.
Yeah, if it's getting that,
Why is
if he's
that?
reporting it as unpaid or something, I would call eBay.
The item might show up as unpaid because when you, I don't know if you've ever looked at your unpaid item, like on your returns, if you reimburse somebody and then you try to cancel the transaction, or the transaction is just sitting there. While it's sitting there, it shows up as an unpaid item. So if you click on your unpaid item, it'll be there if you issue a refund.
No idea why it's been doing that lately.
So I mean, that's probably what you're seeing. It'll say unpaid because
it might be the it's lagging because of.
So I mean, that's probably what's going on with that. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Once the transaction is finished being canceled, then it'll probably just fall off. But can you at least leave them a negative feedback? Bye, Robin.
Robin.
Thanks for coming on. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Will it at least let you leave a negative feedback, Danica? Yeah, okay. Well,
You got to use the keywords bad customer experience.
yeah, that helps. Yeah, I don't know. I would be pretty mad if I bought something and the person tried to back out of it. I think that's actually happened to me a few times, just over the years, because I used to buy a lot on eBay. That's what I used my account for primarily. And I mean, every once in a while, you just bid on an auction, and the guy doesn't get what he wanted for it, and didn't put a reserve on it because it costs like 50 cents or $1 or whatever to put a reserve on something. And then when it does sell, they're like, oh, well, I'm not going to let it go that cheap. So I mean, I think you got to kind of look at their feedback, and if you're buying, and try and get a feel for them. I mean, if it's a person that has 20 feedback, then maybe you should just kind of expect that. And I mean, when I'm as a buyer on the other end of things, I'm always looking at their feedback. I mean, yeah, there are lazy sellers out there that get away with stuff for a long time or whatever, but you can check the feedback and see what the negatives are saying, see if they're replying to feedback or just kind of ignoring it, that sort of thing. But yeah, you got to protect yourself as a buyer too. And when you get on that side of things, then I think if you use it to buy, you got to kind of put yourself in the buyer's shoes, and that's the best way to do it. And then start thinking about, what could go wrong when you're trying to pick items that will kind of help you get your feedback rating up really fast, and the kind of stuff that you're not going to have to deal with returns on as much. I don't know. So what's everybody doing now, man? Got quiet in here all of a sudden. You must be working or something, huh?
No.
You're not working. I don't want to know what you're looking at, Adam.
I'm trying to see what was new on TV tonight.
Huh. Yeah.
I did want to give a shout out to Sammy Davis. She has her book, her ebook, Love Your Life, coming out today on Amazon. I did her. I interviewed her for my show yesterday. I put it at a special time. So yeah, she's a very amazing person. Good motivational speaker. You should check that out.
Yeah, I was watching that video. I think that's the longest video you've ever done.
Close to it, yeah.
Yeah, she was.
And what was the book called?
Love Your Life by Sammy Davis. Not Sammy Davis Jr., but Sammy Davis.
The original Sammy Davis.
If you want to.
So.
Hey, Danica, I watched the first episode of American Horror Story, the new one. Freaking awesome. I'm holding out and waiting for the second one. I was trying to get my wife to play it the other night while I was working, but she didn't do it. So hopefully we'll get to watch it the next day or so.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite shows on TV. I blow through those so fast, though. I wait for the whole season to come on Netflix, and then I watch it in a day while I'm hanging out at work.
Have you guys ever seen that show that was on Netflix called Oddities?
Called what?
Oddities.
I have not.
It's where they go in. They're like resellers or collectors. They go in and they buy all this weird stuff.
You know, I think I've actually seen that show. It's like a vintage shop, but it's all horror story type stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have seen that. And then they always have like a featured person come in that's trying to sell them something, and it's some weirdo.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool show.
Yeah. Those kind of shows are pretty good. That's usually what I end up watching if I watch anything. Is if I'm on something for a while, you know, like an episode here, an episode there, it's that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But all right, guys. Well, usually we run this for about 2 hours, but it seems like we're teetering off a little bit. I think we're just going to wrap it up a little early this time. I mean, an hour and a half is still a pretty good run. But we're going to be here tomorrow morning. Going to try and schedule some other guests, and hopefully GilDaddy can come on. Been talking to a couple other people that I think we can keep the dialogue rolling pretty easily for a couple hours. I really want to hear about GilDaddy's warehouse and how that went and everything. But if he wants to come in right now, he can save the show. But if not, we're going to wrap this up. You guys, like, subscribe. We're doing this every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And click that little thumbs up button over there. And little subscribe button over there. And it'll help us out a lot. Keep this thing rolling. But we'll talk to you all later.
See ya.
See you guys.
Hey there, everybody.